hills and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance that's bit in his eye. Well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shortbangers special edition tonight, because this is episode number 100, a century up, which is remarkable considering we only started doing it because some website wanted us involved to talk about football and we had 20 minutes to fill. So it's no longer that when we do Shortbangers. It's now a wee bit longer than 20 minutes and fuck all to do with football, which is good. A couple of things before we start and I'll do the introductions. You'll know the Longbangers have been supporting the Hamlin Stevenson Foundation, supporting Dnipro Kids. And we got a message from Jake Smith just to let us know that his dad, Gordon Smith, is auctioning off some Hibs memorabilia signed by Pat Stanton. So if you have a look, all the money raised goes to Dnipro Kids. The handle on Twitter where you'll get the information is at GordonS07. So have a look there, some smashing pieces. Also wanted to say thanks to everybody who got in touch via Twitter, via message, email, on Facebook, who's commented on YouTube over the last day or so about our interview with Sean Maloney. We've been absolutely blown away by the reaction to that. It's been superb, and thank you to Patrick McPartlin at the Evening News who's picked up the interview and given us a wee bit of coverage on there as well. Very much appreciated. So thanks for that, and good luck to the Strong Opinion Hibs boys with their interview tomorrow. I think their guest is still a surprise, so we'll not do any spoilers, but I hope you have a good one, boys, with it. Anyway, housekeeping over. On to introduction. So joined tonight by Colin and John, as normal, and also back for a second stint in Shortbangers, Gordon Smart. Gordon, how are you doing?
Yeah, world class. Thanks very much for having me, lads. Great to be on the 100th episode, and congratulations on the lofty heights you've reached with Sean Maloney as well. It'll be hard following in his tiny wee footsteps tonight.
It's the first time Sean Maloney and lofty heights have been mentioned in the same breath as well. Colin, how are you doing?
All right, hi, good. I'm good. Aye, that's it. Good. Let's crack on.
Just good. Let's crack on. And John, what about you, mate? How are you doing?
Aye, I'm not bad. I feel a wee bit of place actually because I've not been on for about 2 or 3 episodes, but I am back. I'm all right.
Do you remember how it works?
Nah, is this the Monday Night Football one?
Something like that. You'll pick it up. Just follow our lead. You'll be all right. So. Add a bit of spice for tonight because everybody likes to add a bit of spice on a Thursday night or whenever you're listening to it. We've got a competition for 2 tickets to the Steve Archibald event at Easter Road on the 18th of March. So Headline Events have supplied us with a couple of VIP packages. So if your questions are in this show tonight and you've got the best question, you will win a pair of VIP tickets for it, which involves a meet and greet and stuff like that with the man himself. And we'll also be there calling in.
So that's the downside.
The downside.
Yeah, the upside is they got a photo with Steve Archibald.
Right, first question, and we're all ready. Good to go. TG Willis, when did you last use a book of matches? Have you ever tried to read a book of matches? Fucking boring.
It's like the Hibs history books have got like a list of matches. You get the book and it's all like, the Lugton ones.
Aye.
And at the end, the last 30 pages is just a list of games and the score and that, which I'm sure folk like, but not for me. Like,
Still prefer the scumbags, Colin.
Aye. Obviously, I think anybody would
Old
say
school.
that.
He likes to go old school, Colin, with it. With these scud.
So you never find a discarded football book in the bushes when you were wee.
I just like the stories.
Do you think they were made up? Or do you think
the magazines in the bushes or the stories inside?
the stories inside?
Aye, they were definitely made up.
It's like the original Fesshole.
I suppose.
Fucking sexhole.
Imagine if that was your job. That's your job is sitting, writing name and.
Is that not what? Was it no? Well, you might be able to tell us. Was it not? There was people owned a paper that done it. That was the original. Was it the Mail on Sunday or something?
No, it's the original
Sunday
owner. It's the guys that own the West Ham, isn't it? David Gold and Sullivan.
Aye, so it is.
So they own all the bongo mags, but they were all based out of East Croydon. So when I first moved down to London, I remember finding out that was the home of erotic literature. But we've got a lot to thank for our vocabulary, haven't we? Like words that never existed anywhere else other than in scud books. Like Gizram and Quim. Here, John, it's a strong start, eh?
I forgot about Quim.
That's because you're married and that.
Aye, that's what happens when you get married, John.
Oh, I mean, has anyone ever said that in the throes of passion? Like, referred to a Quim? No chance.
Well, you've all got a task next time. This is for the listeners as well. Next time you're at it, you have to just drop that into conversation.
Text in 80295.
Tell us how it was received. Right.
Can I just double check? Was that TG Willis's entry for getting 2 tickets to the Steve Archibald event?
Well, I hope no. I hope he's got something else. Because
we never even answered the question.
I use matches all the time. Eh? We've given the cost of living so high, we just burn everything where I live now instead of using electricity. So every day.
Aye.
But is it a book or is it a boxing match? Is it like the wee bluebells or the?
A book's to be one that when they're all sort of strapped in.
Aye. You have to rip them off. Aye.
But are they no like? I don't know. Are they no like promotional items now rather than like the thing that you buy at the shop?
Aye. They're off freebies. Yeah.
So who's dishing out books of promotional matches? Like who does that now?
Bands used to do it. Bands. Yeah. So I've got like a massive envelope. In fact, is it sitting there? I used to keep them because I knew at some point they'd come in handy. So I think there's a band. What were they called again?
What, for an energy crisis of the future?
I could see it coming 12 years ago. What's that band? They were called The Fray. And I must have had about 500 books of matches off them. I just kept them in a bag, and they're just about done now, actually. But they've been quite handy.
We'll need to see if we can get any. When we go to see Retro Video Club in a few weeks' time, then up at the what's it called? Liquid Rooms. That's the one. We'll see if we can get Liam to give us a book of matches.
They're
back in the day. Aye, they were. Back in the day, when we were going to Liquid Rooms for Evo on a Friday night, and the Primal Screen had just brought Exterminator, and they were giving away an album and a cassette when you went in. I think you got a cassette and a poster for it. Don't have that anymore.
I've also got a lighter from Mike Skinner on the Streets. It was on the album cover, I think, for the first album, wasn't it? I've got one of them in the house somewhere.
Decent.
Empty though.
Is your house just a treasure trove of band memorabilia? Just obscure band memorabilia as well?
I've like a bit of name dropping, eh?
I've got aye. That's
what I started to say we were pals with Sean Maloney. That's it.
I got Retro Video Club in, so it means
you did. That's that.
And
who's your pals, John? Right, next question. Stuart McGregor said, "How do moles know how close to the surface they are? Do their tunnels match the variance of the surface, or could they dig into a mountain and think, what the fuck has happened to the surface of the world?"
Fuck moles, by the way, little bastards. Fucking hate them. Like, we've got a real problem. We have to get the boy. This guy Derek comes up. Well, maybe I shouldn't talk about this. I'll probably get in trouble. But fuck the moles. They make a right mess, and they're a fucking pest. Fuck moles. That's all I've got to say on this.
And the way, sorry, what you say, bye.
The grassy bits at school would always have molehills, but I can't remember ever seeing one in my garden of that. Why do they like schools so much?
You calling moles pedos?
Well, I would just say directly, just implying it. A pedomole.
Front page of the Evening Stand. Patrick, if you're watching this, there's your front page of the Evening News. There's loads of pedomoles in Dulwich and Dunfermline. He's sniffing them out.
Vengeance will be mine. I like the idea of a mole kind of just not realising that they're under a mountain, though, and just digging up for fucking days going, what the fuck's going on here? Right. Mikey said, if you were a billionaire, would you buy Hearts and play in goals for them, or put money into the other 41 teams and sink them to the Lowland League?
See, that question's actually quite relevant now, isn't it? Because of Roman Abramovich. So imagine, a very wealthy West Ham fan. Or what's the boy called, Ruben, that's involved in Newcastle? There's talk of him buying Chelsea as well as Newcastle, as if he wasn't popular enough. But, I mean, that's
as if he
quite
hadn't
an
committed
interesting
enough human
conspiracy.
rights abuses.
Oh, he just needs to buy Hearts and he's completed it, hasn't he?
Right, I think it's a set. I'd love to do a reverse Mercer on them, just to see how they liked it.
Reverse Mercer. Brilliant.
That wasn't an option though, was it? For some reason, I think I would go the 41. Do the two options. Give everybody. You're a billionaire, right? You've got more money than you ever need. I would just make sure every other club had enough, and I would go as far as further than 41, and I would start looking at Bonnegg Rose and Brora Rangers that are at the top of the pyramid, the top of the bottom end of the pyramid, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Aye.
The Highland and Lowland League. Make sure they've got enough, so when they get there, then there's no chance even there. So no, I would definitely go to 40, 44, 46. I would go.
Would there be a cruel twist in that as well, just to do some damage to Kelty Hearts, just by proxy? Buy the ground and build some houses on it.
I tell you what,
Brora Rangers are getting nothing. Kelty Hearts are getting nothing. So it'll be a bottom three of Hearts, Brora Rangers, and fucking Kelty Hearts. Bottom three of the Division 2.
I only needed you to say Quim there, and I was there, Colin. What a thought. Alan's Bakery said, does Gordon Smart know he has a long lost brother in Gogsy 6? So I think he thinks that Gogsy 6 looks like you, Gordon.
Oh, I know who you mean.
Oh, look, that almost works, that, doesn't it?
Nearly.
Yeah, another. I wonder if he's the fucker that went to Las Vegas and pretended to be me. And about 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from a nightclub in Vegas saying, "You've got an outstanding bill, Mr. Smart, for £2,000." And it was just a random punter from Edinburgh saying he was Gordon Smart from the Sun. It wasn't me. It honestly wasn't me. And he'd had the time of his life and just stuck it all on the tick, saying he'd worked for the newspaper, and it was me. It wasn't he. I'd love to know if it was Flash Gogsy, or whatever he's called.
Aye. Well,
Who paid
I'll
that
find
bill?
it.
Wasn't he me? Put it that way.
I think you do. All right, the fattest prickus is the opposite of super dry, a wee bit soaking.
I love Fattest Prickers, by the way. He keeps me going. What a brilliant guy. He's funny as fuck on Twitter, isn't he?
He's top boy.
He's got a sombrero, eh? Speaking of sombreros.
Aye. And big tits.
Yeah, there's the start of a story in a porno here, isn't it? Has he got a moist quim?
You could use moist instead of dry in the opposite of dry.
And what we need to do, we need to get a thread going on Twitter, like user suggested words, like forgotten words for, what was it, Mayfair, Jazz Mags, Bongo Mags,
Escort and Razzle. Aye.
Right, fattest prickus again said, could you throw a baked bean through a spaghetti hoop?
I've not been able to think of anything else this week. I can't get it out of my head. I
don't know about you guys, but I sometimes delve into TikTok. That it started off as there was a very legitimate reason for it, but just with the way the algorithm works, and because I'm fucking old and didn't understand technology, I just keep getting random shit thrown at me. And some of the random shit that I get thrown at me from time to time is guys with like bows and arrows, like firing it through seemingly impossible things. And I think that we should absolutely get together and try and launch a baked bean through a spaghetti hoop.
This could be part of the Olympics, though, with the biscuit Olympics.
The biscuit throwing.
Aye.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Yes.
And Gordon, you had that question. What biscuit would you choose to throw the furthest? Now, the world record is something like 15 metres, which can't be right.
No.
But that's what we got told in a question on here before. So we were talking what biscuit we would choose to pick.
A mint Viscount, because
Well,
it's got mint in it. It's bound to be more streamlined, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like a discus, isn't it? A similar sort of weight.
So that's my choice. That's what I picked.
Why not orange?
You were hobnobbing.
That's oddly specific.
An orange is quite clearly not going to fly as well through the air. Yeah, the green's going to be much more smooth. As a missile.
You could use a Cadbury Sprinkler like a wee javelin. Like, I think if it's too light, aye.
It's too light.
So,
you said hobnob before, haven't you? In
hobnob I think can travel.
Yeah, it's not streamlined enough. It's too rough around the edges, isn't it? You need to have something with a foil wrapper on it still.
Question. Yeah. Circular is a good idea, I think, for the discus effect that you're talking about, but you also need to have like the proper technique there, so you didn't end up like slicing it or like hooking it. You need to kind of like have a nice gentle arc to achieve maximum distance.
When you chuck the stone into the sea, sort of.
That's a completely different event, isn't it? Who can skim a
biscuit skimmer?
Because then, obviously,
the decathlon here we're playing now.
Obviously, if you've got a chocolate finish on the top, that means it's going to slide across the water nicely, which opens up the chocolate hobnob. But then the hobnob itself, disaster for skimming.
Yeah, you could do that here if it was in water. Aye, it's fucked. There needs to be something with a bit of substance to it. Anyway,
I think that would be quite tough. It depends on the distance you're thrown from, but a spaghetti hoop is tiny. Like the baked bean might actually like fill it.
Help us, Colin.
Not
help
in
us.
The
bum. please help us with the image of what spaghetti.
For folk who are listening, Colin's doing the age-old make a circle with one hand and poke your finger through the circle with the other one to demonstrate. Anyway, right, Fattest Prickus again. Was Indiana Jones Welsh?
Is that just because of the Jones thing?
Yeah, probably his Welsh descent.
It's possible though, because the third film, what was it, Knights of the Last Crusade? His father's obviously Scottish because it's Sean Connery, so it's possible if he's from one of the four nations that there's Welsh heritage there.
Aye.
John, I've just got to interject there and say it was just the Last Crusade. Knights of the Last Crusade was clearly the bongo version that you've been watching.
I was going to let it slide, but I'm glad.
Yeah, listen, Gordon, you've pulled out a thread there, because I've got this. There's the original trilogy of the Indiana Jones trilogy, and then there's Kingdom of the Crystal Shite, which is just it's just forget about it.
Right.
So no, it's definitely Knights of the Last Crusade.
The Crystal Skull one was brutal. I think I've only ever watched that once. I refuse to watch it again. It just sullies everything.
I actually got bored halfway through and had a wank.
You told us this before. Was it when the monkeys were there? Was that when they done it for you, John?
Was there monkeys?
Once there monkeys like you didn't care it. Guinness 2022 says, question, Darth Vader says several times to Luke that Obi-Wan has taught you well. This is clearly incorrect. It was Yoda. Does this lead to Force Ghost awkwardness? John, you look thoroughly confused. So...
Well, I feel like I must be as confused as Colin, because I know Colin's not seen it.
Colin doesn't care what we're talking about.
No.
What we're talking about.
Well, it's quite a pertinent question, isn't it? Because the trailer came out this week for Obi-Wan Kenobi, the mini-series with Ewan McGregor. So maybe that question will be answered officially very soon. And we're all in the dark until that comes on the telly.
Did you watch the trailer?
Aye, I fucking love it.
It looks
amazing.
Aye. It really does. Guinness 2022, has anyone at BBC Scotland ever worked out where the constant stream of obscure answers text to 80295 originated from? I fucking doubt it. But if you think they have, text them on 80295 and let them know.
I think Tom Kimm's created fucking content based on the answers, and then he's just created the question.
We really, like you were talking about this today with the articles that Patrick McPartlin's written, saying that we'd job for him for a week. It was just easy. But then we're also doing it for Tam Cowan and everyone else at BBC Scotland. So
there is absolutely zero way that we can accuse Off the Ball, who have been running for about 600 years, of nicking the stuff that we do, when pretty much Longbangers is like a pound shop off the ball, isn't it? Like that's if anything was the other way around, it would be us choring for them. Guinness 2022, one for Gordon. Did Jim actually write that poetry in the 80s, or was it more likely ghostwritten by the Dunfermline programme editor?
I think Jim clearly wrote that because it was so pish. It could only come from the deepest, darkest parts of his Lumfinin's mind.
Is this a well-known thing in Scotland and Scottish football that Jim Leishman wrote poetry?
Aye. You used to be on it. Anytime there was a feature on Dunfermline.
Aye.
Aye.
What age are you again, John?
39.
Aye, just missed the cut then, because we're 44. Gordon, what is you? You must be similar to that, yeah?
42.
Aye, so 3 years of difference and you can't remember. That's amazing.
It's funny though,
it was constant. It was on everything, eh? As soon as they got a cup running.
Aye. I mean, I remember once phoning up off the ball about 25 years ago, and Livingston were about to be promoted, and they'd asked for stories about really dodgy hypnotherapists or hypnotists. And I'd phoned up to tell a story about a guy who hypnotised loads of folk at a nightclub I was at, and then started handing out cards asking if the girls wanted to be lap dancers. So I told that story, and at the end of the call I said, and also I'd just like to wish Jim Leishman well, because I used to go out with his daughter, stupidly. And I'm not married to her, obviously, but Stuart and Tam just jumped in, like, whoa, hold on a minute, you used to go out with Jim Leishman's daughter. Did she recite poetry to you when you were in bed together and stuff? And I was like, and then Tam started saying stuff like, did she have a big moustache? Like, got rinsed. It was horrible.
I'm sure there's a photo of Jim dressed up like a cowboy, isn't there? Like a promo photo for a game that he's dressed up like a cowboy. It's a black and white photo. Quality.
Aye, I've probably got it on my computer. I could use it as my background in a minute.
Matt said, since Matty knows Gordon knows Ian Stirling, can Gordon get Love Island final tickets for the Longbangers giveaway?
Unfortunately, the terms of your restraining orders prevent you from going anywhere near an island with women of a certain age. But funny you should mention it. Ian was meant to be coming on Hibs TV, but the tour dates when he was up didn't match the games we were at home, so he never made it on in the end. But I think he's a wee bit nervous about it because I think he follows Liverpool more closely than Hibs, and his pals from school would rinse him for having such a lack of knowledge about Hibs if he came on. So he's a wee bit nervous about it.
I did it me,
tell him he's welcome. Who is the most famous person on your phone, Gordon? I'm not going to ask you to phone them right now. I'm just going to say who is the most famous.
But could he?
Other than Jim Leishman.
Other than Jim, obviously, aye.
Get them on speakerphone, that'd be a shite bag.
At the moment, probably I've got some really weird ones. But I mean, listen, I know Gallagher's probably the most famous, or Martin Compston's quite famous, isn't he? Who else is on there? Freddie Flintoff.
Oh, you wrote his book, didn't you?
Aye.
I seen it. I was looking at the back of it, and I thought, how does that work then? Does he just tell you a few stories and then you put the words in, or is it actually?
Aye. He came up and stayed in Loch Lomond, and we got one of those wee lodges, and I just sat and talked to him for 3 days. And then there's this amazing bit of technology in America, right? If ever you need it, it's quite handy. It's called rev.com, and it's a artificial intelligence program. So you send the audio file, and it comes back within 12 hours, completely transcribed, and it recognizes your voice and your accent if you fill it in. So I did 3 days with him, and he sent back 125,000 words of our conversation, and then I just edited that into his book. So aye, that's how I did it.
Took the full fee, even though the computer done all the work. Amazing, brilliant. So where you go?
Correct, exactly. Yeah. But then half of it, the lawyer's like, no, you can't say that, you can't do that, you can't have that, and you have to go back and do it again.
That's usually what happens with Shortbangers most weeks. Right, next question comes from Mike. Said, would you rather go without shampoo for the rest of your life or toothpaste for the rest of your life?
Easy one for me. I'll leave it to the boys with here.
Yeah, shampoo for me.
I'd rather go with shampoo.
Same here. Have we had this question before?
It rings a bell.
Maybe a variation of it. If somebody do like fingernails, like would you rather have long fingernails or no wash your hair?
I actually think we've had that question. He's maybe sending it in just to win the prize.
Your hair,
work, is it?
because your hair not naturally clean itself after a while anyway, doesn't it? So.
Yeah. Apparently so. Would you rather have a time machine or a teleporter?
Time machine for me.
So can a teleport only send you somewhere within your existing, like
instantly? So
instantly, same day. So,
aye. There's a time machine, like you go back and change stuff, or go in and see who wins a cup in May, sort of thing.
Time machine for me all day, easy.
Where would you go?
I'd go back to.
Or when would you go, rather?
I'd put a massive bet on. Yeah, I'd probably go back to the 21st of May 2016. Of course we would, lads.
Yeah.
Definitely would do that. Aye. Although it would be weird knowing what was coming.
But
it'd be quite good to be there again, and just because when you're in it, it's like obviously it makes it feel better, but actually to just watch it, like.
You could get a head start onto the pitch as well because you are.
Where would you park? Where would you park the time machine if you were to do that?
That's true.
I'll just leave it flying about.
Just like hovering above Hampden. I just had this picture in my head there, like above one of the stands, like sitting there with a couple of deck chairs and a couple of tins and having a laugh, like, oh, check that out.
You come in and it's clamped by the police because you've parked illegally, and then you can.
The police, when the police are leaving to get the Glasgow Street sorted, you go, where he's gone, boys? It's no fun.
You do not want to miss this, boys.
You've got to be needed soon.
Would you rather have to always hop around on 1 foot or have to always squat?
Hop.
My knees are fucked, so I'm going to have to go for the hopping option. There's no danger I'm squatting permanently.
Yeah, hopping for me, definitely.
What if you were the boy Bielsa?
Aye.
It's like your
boy who?
Aye, Bielsa for Leeds. Or no Leeds anymore.
Aye.
But he was
what age must he be?
100.
So, and I think I'm right in saying that he had a career in football beforehand and he didn't have the benefit in medical science that footballers do now. How is he still crouching at his age?
Well, actually, there is some history to this, isn't it? That's how we're meant to sit, isn't it? You'd sit around a fire on your haunches, and that's the comfortable, best way for your body to relax. You shouldn't be standing up. You should be squatting like that.
Best way for having a shite, and it's the best way for giving birth. Giving birth.
But also, I was reading about him, and it turns out that he's the Argentinian aristocracy. His brother was the foreign minister, and he's beyond intelligent. And the reason he kept sacking interpreters is because he felt like the intricacies of the languages he was using weren't being properly represented in the media. So that's why he kept going through them. So that's not what I said. You've missed the nuances of my intellectual response to that question.
That just sounds like a bit of a smart arse, does it not?
Have you the stories about his interpreter there? He would like if he was calling players in to meet him, the wee interpreter boy would be saying to the players, "Oh, he's fucking on one today." Like he'd give them the heads up before they came in. Quality.
If you were an interpreter, would you fuck about? Like, would it, like if the person you were interpreting for didn't speak the language, would you fuck about with them?
100%.
Oh man, that gives me. I think did I tell the story about the interpreter last time I was on this podcast?
It doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, the most embarrassing moment of my life with an interpreter. It was fucking horrendous. It's just even thinking about it now is making me feel a wee bit sick. But I did work experience at the Herald in the Edinburgh office, right? And Martin Geisler was working for Scotland Today. They all used to share the same office in Edinburgh. And Geisler took me to the pub. I was 19, and I was pissed on 4 pints. And like they were chucking them down at lunchtime and then getting back in the office. So I've got back in, and the boss was a lady called Helen Lennox. And she could tell that I'd been and had a few drinks and was a wee bit steaming. And she said, right, what are you going to write this afternoon then? You hear the most prestigious paper in the country and you've come back in after a lunch with those lads over there. I want you to come up with an idea and I want you to write it and have it ready for the paper by tomorrow. What have you got? And just by chance, I picked up a leaflet in the pub about the Edinburgh Festival for the first time having a Japanese section. And I was like, well, I thought we could maybe go and interview the new ambassador for Edinburgh. The new in the consulate for Japan. And she said, well, funnily enough, I know the people there. I'll set the interview up and you can go down there and do it and see if we can get it done this afternoon. So she managed to get me an appointment with the new ambassador for Edinburgh and the Japanese consulate. And I went to interview him, pissed. And Oh man, it was so embarrassing because he had an interpreter. He couldn't speak a word of English, and this interpreter was probably about 25, could speak 6 languages, and I'm sitting there in a really shite suit, half cut, and he came in and he had like ceremonial flags and everything. It was Melville Crescent, up at the West End.
Yeah,
and she's like, okay, and he came in and he bowed, and I had to bow. There was like a room of delegates, and this is the guy from the Edinburgh Herald, or the Edinburgh office of the Herald, that's going to ask you some questions about the festival. And she said, so what's your first question? I'll translate for you. And I was like, is there going to be a sumo wrestling? And I could see her. She was pissing herself laughing. And the poor girl's got she's got like a double first in English, and she's got this wee fanny sitting there. So see the sumo wrestling, will you do that at Meadowbank? Or can you do it indoors? I couldn't think of anything other than asking about sumo wrestling. I asked about 6 questions on sumo wrestling before they told me to leave. Oh man!
I've not got my questions about sushi yet. Do you drive a Toyota?
I've gone back to the office, and Helen's like, "Have you got? So, do they have any interesting lines for the paper tomorrow?" And I was like, "Well, there's not going to be any sumo wrestling."
That's what we wanted to know.
And at that point, anyway, my career was probably going to end up at the Sun in journalism. Fucking hell.
What a story. Right. Next question. Paul Mackay said, what's the most ironic name you can think of for a profession? For example, Willie Bald for a barber. He says, really sorry for the Hearts player reference. If it's a footballer, it would be better.
Well, Willie Bald would be better for the Manscaped guys.
Probably would be, aye. But that wouldn't be ironic, though, would it?
How?
Well,
who knows?
Because it's not.
You can have a tastily bald banger. Like, it doesn't have to just be like a skinhead.
Well, I'll just go with David Goodwillie then.
Did you see Sky Sports apologising to him?
Oh, that by the way, that is.
We never meant to call him a racist. Like, he's a rapist. Fucking hell. That was amazing.
Oh, man, that was so bad.
I think they did that apology for the dare, because I think most of them would just say, just let it fucking slide, do you know?
Aye.
Or if they felt, well, we probably have to do it, but how are we going to word it? Say that.
Fuck him.
Fuck him.
What about? What I was going to say, what about somebody? I don't know what the profession is. If you're a beautician and you do anal bleaching, what would the name be for an inappropriate? Like, I don't know.
Dr. Domestos.
Mrs. Brown.
Yeah. Autumn Pinkerton. Somebody pink. What colour? Grey Pinkerton.
I mind, do you remember? I don't know if it's still on the TV, but you mind Embarrassing Bodies? So it was like always someone that had like something they couldn't go to the doctor about, but they'd go on the TV with it instead. And I can't remember what condition the person had, but they went to go see a urologist, and the urologist was called Dr. Wang. I loved that.
I used to work in a doctor's surgery, and I remember them talking about inappropriately named doctors. I think there was a Dr. Ghost. You wouldn't want to go and see Dr. Ghost, would you?
Oh.
I've got this inkling that someone I know that works for a hospital said to me that there's a doctor, I want to say it's a Dr. Death.
Yeah.
And they're German, and they're the anaesthetist, so they're administering the gas.
I've heard that, yeah.
Would you trust them? If they got introduced, would you be going, oh, for fuck's sake? Is there nobody else available, or would you just go, oh, I'll take my chances?
I worked with, I'm still friends with him actually, a brilliant guy called Dr. McCracken in Kinross. And Ali McCracken was the team doctor at St Johnstone. So he used to look after Kano, Paul Kane and all the rest of it. So they used to come, I used to work in the doctor's surgery as a receptionist when I was at school. And Dr. McCracken's fucking hilarious, a really funny guy. He told me a brilliant story. about one of my school teachers that we all played football with. And he'd gone in with problems with his hoop, right? Really bad hoop trouble. And that's his worst nightmare, when one of the boys from football turns up who he knows really well, and it's something wrong with their balls or their cock or their hoop. And he said, look, you're going to have a look at it, because something is really bad down there, and I need you to. And he's like, oh, for fuck's sake. He's like, get up, knees up to your chest, pants and trousers down. And he said, you're going to have to give me a more specific geographical location for the particular problem you have. And he said, well, actually, it's right next to the entrance. And Dr. McCracken said, well, in the medical profession, we like to think of the anus as an exit rather than entrance.
Yeah.
All right, Mikey said, what would happen if there were no hypothetical questions?
I think we'd all be in a lot more bother. Just thinking back to when we were talking about hypothetically putting animals into the Arbroath Sea.
But there'd be no hope or no dreams, would there? Because that's like hypotheticals. You're like, imagine if. So there'd be like no hope, no dreams, no fears either, I suppose, on the other side.
There'd be no progress, no science or anything.
It would be Germany, wouldn't it?
Where things just get done.
Yeah. There's no time for hypotheticals. It's just about facts.
Just get it done. Yeah. The TG Willis.
Rhetorical. Did they mean rhetorical? Do you think, or do you think it meant hypothetical?
You want me to answer that?
What if there was no? Obviously not.
TG Willis said, was Barca pep talks carried out in Catalan, Spanish, English, or Belgian?
No
I think everybody would know that.
You seen that All or Nothing that they've done on Amazon?
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody actually talk about 100 mile an hour. It's like 150 mile an hour. Everything is rapid.
Yeah.
And how is anybody taking any of that in? But they do, obviously.
Did you ever see? The comparison they did with Tony Adams when he was a field manager, and he was trying to explain to the players how to defend, and it was exactly the same as what Pep Guardiola was doing in the All or Nothing. And they're like, how come this guy's seen as an idiot and this boy's seen as a genius? And it's exactly the same thing. It's just done one's done in a Spanish accent and one's done by a Cockney.
But Tony Adams wasn't managing sort of best players in the world either, but was he? Who's he managing of Tony Adams?
Wickham.
Was it the Kazakhstan international team as well?
So they boys are all gone. What the fuck? Because the Man City boys gone. We've got this. If ignore him.
Just you sit down, Pep. Like we've got this under control.
Tony Adams did the training session with his name, he's like dancing with him. Have you seen that one?
That's it.
Is that what we talk about?
That's it. Because Pep's the same. It's Pep in the dressing room going and like doing the same thing.
Oh, it's
unbelievable. Tony Adams.
The pace he talks at is you just watch it and go, fuck.
Man, how do you know?
No idea.
Maybe get used to it though. You maybe tune in if you're dealing with it all the time.
I'm going to sound like a total fanny here, but I've met Pepe and he is a handsome bastard. Like,
would you shag him,
boy? No, I asked. I said, Pep, what's the word in Catalan for quim?
El Quim.
Actually, he played centre half for Livingston when Big Jim was the manager there. Quino.
Right, William said, how shite are Mondays and how far would be an appropriate distance be for them to fuck off to?
Aye, Mondays are shite.
I worked with a woman who had a theory that Mondays were better than Tuesdays. Tuesdays, she said, were the worst day of the week because at least on Mondays you had the weekend to talk about. Tuesdays it was kind of like, well, what the fuck do we do now?
Aye, I've heard that before.
But
I did work in the same building as you at some point.
It's probably it's made its way around.
Tuesdays folk have got Longbangers to listen to now, so we fucking sorted that problem on a Monday, didn't we? Unless they stay up late.
I think we've pretty much cornered 7 days of the week with the output that we've got.
Shush, folk will lose it. El Duderino said, has the whole world gone crazy? Am I the only one who gives a shit about the rules? Do you give a shit about the rules?
What rules?
The rules, Colin.
The rules?
Not like you and both of them who says, fuck that to the rules.
Is that no a Hibs.net person's username? The rules, or the rules? Am I imagining
no,
that?
there's a Twitter tweet says is the words.
Maybe that's where I'm
rules.
getting confused.
Aye.
Can I make a really serious point on Shortbangers just for a second?
Aye. Because it's
I heard
episode 100 only for that reason.
Well, I heard an amazing Ian Botham fact this week that it blew my mind. That when he started raising money for leukemia, right? If a child was diagnosed with leukemia when he started it, there was an 80% chance they would die. And when he finished raising the money and raised all that cash, there was a 20% chance a child would die. And that, before you slag off Ian, that is fucking amazing, isn't it? And it was all down to the fundraising and the dough that they managed to get for research into leukemia, and it was all down to him. Genius.
I was just slagging off. It was an Office reference. It was David Brent said that his hero was Beefy Botham.
Aye.
Yeah, but 2 weeks ago, I called Ian Botham a cunt on here. So
did you?
It's funny, like I missed the segue into Ian Botham, and I've just got this picture ingrained in my head of when he got his bobby out on Twitter.
I never saw that. I did hear about that. I did hear the. Is it still available, John?
I'll find it for you.
It's in his bookmarks.
That's going to stand out on the Google search. That one.
WTC 1981 said, "Is there anything that Cinch UK won't sponsor, and if not, will they sponsor Longbangers? Are they the most shameless sponsors around at the moment? Gordon, you've not got any tie-ins with them, have you?"
No, not yet. No, but it sounds like a word from Escort in 1986, doesn't it? I unbuckled my trousers as she removed her skirt, and I could see her perfectly trimmed cinch.
Come on.
What else the Cinch sponsor? I know they've got like Scottish football and English football.
Ryland's on the telly with them, isn't he? He's do an advert for them, but they do. They pay more to be the sponsor, I think, on Tottenham shorts than they do for the whole Scottish League. So to be on Tottenham's shorts is worth more than everything up here. Amazing. Although I don't know if Rangers are still included because they're still.
Are they still in dispute? Are they still?
No, I've not heard any end to
patching the patches off their strips.
They're just a pain in the arse, aren't they, Rangers? Like, it's good to be fucking awkward. Right, 210516. Jim Gardner said, "Have Hugh and Cry found Linda? She's been missing since the 1980s."
That's brilliant.
I hope they have. But maybe with Susan, was it Madonna that was desperately seeking Susan? So maybe they paid her fucked off like Thelma and Louise.
Do you think Hugh and Cry killed her? And it's like a double bluff.
Do you think it's maybe like an ode to Linda? Like a secret map to where she's buried?
The police come tapping on the doors to say, have you got an alibi? We've got an alibi, but we do have a fucking cracking song. And if you listen to the words, we're looking out for her, so it couldn't
never stop looking. Never stop looking.
Never stop looking.
In plain sight.
He's Tam Cowan back off the ball, but he's Tam Cowan's worst ever guest on Off the Ball. The boy Pat Kane.
Really?
He says he's a prick. I think he was on with Ruth Davidson. I know who obviously like Ruth Davidson.
He was worse than Ruth Davidson.
Aye, because of the way, not because of what they were saying or anything, but because of the way he was like treating her and dealing with her and that. You know, it's like she's still a human being. You've got different political viewpoints. You didn't be a dick. That was the thinking behind it. Complete fanny, apparently.
Well, they wonder Linda fucked off then, that's all I can say.
I know.
150k Hanlon Hill said, "Give me your best Hibs team from the shirt numbers that they wore, 1 to 11 or whatever you can be arsed with." Obviously, Steve Archibald is my number 8. Right, we'll take a number each and pick a player rather than 1 to 11 will take too long. So, player each. Colin, you got number 1?
Andy Goram's the best goalie that's played for Hibs, isn't it? So, I have to go Andy Goram for number 1.
Right. Gordon, you want to pick a number?
Yeah, I'll go for Kevin Harper, number 7.
John?
I mean, you're excluding John McGinn by doing that.
It has to be 1 to 11.
Aye.
Good point.
Number 2, David Gray.
I'll go for 4 then, Big Dozy.
Murphy 3 then.
Right. What number did Stokes wear for the cup final?
He was in high numbers.
27, isn't it? Yeah.
There'll be folks screaming at us now.
28.
28?
He was 20 something.
20 something.
It was 28, was it? 20, yeah.
All right, that's enough anyway. Cameron Wilson said,
That's 1 to 4 or something. Done.
fuck it, aye,
It's too much football.
We've got a 7. We've got a 7 and 1 to 4 or something.
So the fucking bingo. Cameron Wilson said, one background incident in football that you'd have liked to have been a fly on the wall listening. For example, Lennon's suspension at Hibs or Mercer when he was trying to kill us, or even the McGrath deadline day cock-up.
The player revolt would be quite an interesting one. Either in George Street or when they went down to Petrie's doorstep.
If there was a fly on the wall and Petrie Susie was charging at Brent.
I'd love.
There you go, Gordon.
I was going to say, do you remember there was a massive thing about somebody did a shite in Ray Stewart's shoe when he was manager of Livingston? I'd love to know who shat in his shoe.
was that Livingston?
Ian McCall did it as well. Ian McCall did it.
That's the one I was thinking. Ian McCall, because he denies that, but the room they can't shake that rumour.
You can't get rid of it. No, there was another one at I think it was Livy when Ray Stewart was manager. Somebody shat in his shoe as well. Any story involving a shite in the dressing room, like who shat in the bath, that kind of stuff interests me.
What was I think it was Levine was telling a story on it's either the podcast he does Sacked in the Morning or on BBC Radio, and I can't remember the player that we're talking about, but they'd got a kind of jacuzzi thing in, like a sauna thing fitting in at the time. Was it John Robertson? And he couldn't work it or something. But he said he shat in it or he pissed in it or something for the next person.
No. He told them to jump up and down in the jacuzzi. And that's the way how you get it to start working. Robertson was standing pressing the button to switch it on and off and going, just jump a wee bit more and switching it on and off.
But did they not go beyond that? That he got his own back and shat in it or something?
Oh, was that the punchline, was it? That might be his punchline at the end.
Because I can mind there being like,
it was funny until Levine got involved. It was funny when the joke was on Levine, and then as soon as the joke, it wasn't funny anymore.
I thought you were going to say when you mentioned Levine, like being in the bogs at Dens Park in 1986.
Well, I could have had that. To be fair though, the jumping up and down to get to work is quite good banter, which you wouldn't have. I wouldn't have.
That was for Robert. And he's a heavy, so.
Well, I would have liked to have been on in the Man United dressing room with the Cantona incident. Came in and kicked the fan at Selhurst Park.
Yeah.
It was Selhurst Park, wasn't it?
It was Selhurst Park. Yeah.
Apparently Ferguson didn't give him a row after it. He shouted it on other players. And they're all sitting going, I can't make who tells the story, but they're coming into the dressing room thinking, fucking, it doesn't matter how we've done the right, it's all going to be on Eric. And then they get in there and Eric gets fucking no grief at all, and the rest of them get torn to bits. John, did you have one?
Nah, but I'm going to go with France 98, Ronaldo. What actually happened?
Oh, aye, before the game.
Yeah, brilliant.
Because I didn't get me wrong, like I think France were good value to win the final, but
are you talking about when he went to the barber or the illness bit?
The illness bit, so the original.
This is the haircut.
I don't want to keep bringing it back.
A shocker.
I don't want to keep bringing it back to pornography, but was the story not that him and Roberto Carlos shared a room and had watched so much bongo through the night that neither of them had been sleeping properly? I think that might be true, said the man.
So nervous for the World Cup final. They thought, I better have a wank, just get myself to sleep.
I tell you the one I would like to have been in the Old Trafford dressing room when Fergie volleyed the boot into Beckham's face.
Beckham, yeah.
That must have been pretty special, that one. And
do you think
as well would have been good, wouldn't it?
Do you think when Ferguson done that, he's just carried on like in whatever tirade he was having at the time, as if it had just never happened? Meanwhile, Beckham's sitting there like wiping blood off him, like what the fuck?
It just nicked his eye. But the other one was it's another Man United one. But when Keane destroyed them all before he just got sacked, was it Man U TV or something? He destroyed them all, and that had never shown. They've never shown the actual footage, have they? So to be behind the camera that night or something. Because you see what it's like on Sky Sports on a Sunday, and that's so. Imagine it on in-house TV, you'd get away with even more. I mean, Sky Sports when Man United get beat, he's just brilliant value.
You see them on at the weekend with him and Redknapp and Mika Richards trying to laugh. like not even say they're like, fuck. Did he look?
Redknapp was doing that one when he's looking that way because he thought, I can't look at him because he's getting me in the laugh.
We've all been there, eh?
Yeah, and let's be honest, Micah Richards has got the worst ever laugh to suppress, isn't he? He can't let a wee giggle, can he?
Yeah.
Flash Gogsy says, when you do a jobby and get massive splashback, is that acceptable to count as a bum clean, kind of like a manual bidet?
I think you need an enormous jobby to have the resultant tsunami to clean your arse.
Yeah.
Like a wee splashback's no cutting it.
Yeah.
And it's dirty water as well, eh?
Well, earlier on you showed us a picture of Flash Gogs, and him with that much hair, it's going to need more than just one wave to sort out the thatch.
Are you saying he's got a hairy arse?
It's growing in his cinch.
Flash Gogs' almighty sarlacc.
I would love it if cinch was to become a Scottish word for the area between your balls and your arsehole.
just make it so. We'll just do that.
And there is.
It is now, yep. Flash Gogs again said, every time you use a rubber of the razor kind, are you actually killing it because of your mistakes?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yep. And for Flash Gogs again, do escalators ever break or do they just change their function to become stairs?
Sorry, what was the question?
Do escalators ever break or do they just change function to become stairs?
Are they temporary stairs if the escalator breaks?
Times.
Because it's never like a fixed structure, is it?
I don't want.
Are they better now because you can go up and down when they're broken?
I don't want to take this in a really dark direction, but when escalators break, there's a terrible history of awful tragedy around that in various different stations around the country. So
every so often when I get on an escalator or like the sort of walking escalator, like when you're in the airport or that, I get that flashback to news stories like that, and I think, oh no, I need to get fucking off this.
Is that you're talking about when they break when somebody's on them though, right, and getting trapped in it? Like
no,
I don't know. No.
They used to be wooden, didn't they? So if anybody dropped a cigarette down there, it was curtains.
Aye,
that as well.
But, also, do you not remember that terrifying advert? You'll be too young for this, John, but there was an advert about a pair of wellies on an escalator about child abduction in the 80s. Do you remember that?
Aye.
Bairns getting abducted on the escalator?
Aye. It was like a pair of wellies, was it not? Just on an escalator going up without a kid in them or something.
But just the wellies, yeah. It was just the wellies.
Aye. That freaked the fuck out of me when I was wee. Oh, horrible.
Have you worn wellies since?
Well, wouldn't you like to know about that, John? Just while I was bending over showing my cinch to people.
Right now, Kenneth says, what's the one thing you boys dislike most about each other?
I don't really know I don't know John too well, and I don't really know Colin very well. But Matty wore a pretty green T-shirt that stirred up some anger in me, because of a really fractured relationship with one of the Gallagher brothers in Oasis. And it just gave me PTSD. So that's all I can pick out really.
I got slaughtered for that T-shirt as well. Eh?
Murdered.
Aye.
Just in reference to TikTok again, I stumbled across something recently where I was watching an interview with Taylor Hawkins, and he was talking about falling out with Liam Gallagher because I think he'd made some comments about Jay-Z headlining Glastonbury. And then I saw who was interviewing him. I was like, oh, there's that boy that was on Shortbangers.
Is that you?
What kind of cinch have you got, Taylor?
Colin, you got an answer for that one?
Not really. Not really. I don't know. What was it? How's it worded? One dislike?
Aye.
More than one.
How do you narrow it down, eh?
It's the biggest one. Nah, I can't think. I mean, mainly how you always criticise referees all the time, like as your first instinct, rather than just look objectively. John's hard. I don't know John that well. I've not got one yet for John. John probably says about me that I'm too. Well, I'll let John answer it.
I think if there was one thing that I disliked, and it's probably a backhanded compliment, is that for every point that I make on Longbangers, Colin's probably got a better one to finish off with. Like he's usually got a response. He's usually got something to bat it away with.
I thought you were going to call me a pedant.
I might mispronounce it.
Your memory, Colin, and you've got a fucking unnatural desire to be pedantic sometimes.
Oh, I like being pedantic. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
No, on your side it's all right then. When you're on the receiver end there.
Yep.
Right, Guinness 2022 said, do football mascots, or more specifically their human alter egos, ever suffer from pee anxiety? Yes, there is anonymity, but biology is still biology. Asking for a friend, naturally. Do they have a special mascot toilet to go to?
They'll have a changing room.
Yeah.
Do you mean like a particular office like the referees get?
Aye. So your match officials, mascots.
Maybe in the Premiership down south, but not up here. We've not got the money for that.
No.
Do they not live at the grounds, the mascots, like all the time? Is that not like
if it's a dog, it's got a kennel at the back.
You would be scared to go for a piss next to that Kingsley one at Partick, eh? That'd put you off.
Is he meant to be electricity?
An angry-looking knob. I think him is meant to be. But
it was an artist.
Got a jaggy knob.
A jaggy knob.
a cinch.
Now, Kenny, and the concept of Pinocchio, if the concept of Pinocchio worked on Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage, but with an erotic twist, who would be the bigger knob?
That's a tough one.
Is the person growing, or is the nose growing, or is it like is everything growing?
I think
is it about lying? Is it about lying? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's it, yeah. So every time they tell a lie, their cock's getting bigger. I think that's the
right. Okay.
The gist of it.
And Boris has got to be, Mr. Johnson has got to be carrying a proper chode on him, hasn't he? Just to recycle another word from the vocabulary.
Can I just double check that your understanding of the word chode is the same as my understanding? It's that it's a cock that's wider than it is long.
Yeah, but I think in the context of him, it wouldn't grow long, would it? It'd just get wider.
Do you think his pubic hair is like
a MC Hammer trousers just to accommodate it?
I wonder if he's got like a big sort of Wizzle Gummidge style thatch covering his balls, like kind of like the one that he's got in his head.
I reckon he's not seen it for a long, long time. I think has he got like 7 or 8 bairns or something? Like he's done a bit of shagging. That's mental in itself. Eh? You can imagine like how much of a liar he is. Like, imagine the lies he tells to trick somebody to sleep with him.
Yeah,
that's the best thinking about.
I think
I don't think we can possibly discuss the lies that he tells.
No, this might be controversial, but as Farage doesn't tell lies, does he? He just kind of hangs his hat.
He just inflames tension.
Changes his opinion, whereas Boris just blatantly outright tells lies.
Yeah.
Although you can't say that. Like obviously Blackford got called out for it, didn't he? For daring in the House of Commons for telling the truth.
Disingenuous with the truth.
You're not allowed to tell the truth. He's allowed to tell lies. That's what they've done that day. But so I think Johnson tells lies. Farage just flip flops between whatever's going to make him the most money that day.
Right, next question comes from Mikey Stewart. It's not the Mikey Stewart going by the question. If 10 men in a forklift couldn't carry Naddy, what could? I think I have questions like that are allowed these days. They're like in the interest of being kind and all the rest. I can't have just fucking ripped this out of Boris Johnson, but he's a cunt. Naddy just played for Hearts. You know what I mean? Like he was there. He was there actually. Well, was he in trouble for something a bit cunty?
Don't know.
To be fair, he was a fat, useless fuck, though.
Apart from when he played against Hibs, he always fucking scored against us. I couldn't believe it. Right, Mary Curfey said, "Is it really childish of me that every time I drive past Tynecastle I do hand gestures? In a good mood it's a smug middle finger screaming get it fucking up yous. In a bad mood it's an aggressive wanking movement appropriate to the small cock issues screaming wankers." Everybody does that though, eh?
I usually look in the opposite direction and give the finger with the opposite hand.
2 fingers normally, just drive. 2 fingers, don't look at them.
At what age do you think that ends? Do you think you get to like pension age?
When you die. Never ends.
Nah.
You never go for the really old school, like really petulant. I like it. It's so childish, but just it's enjoyable to do.
So that's what I've done it. When the kids were younger as well, going over the Western Approach Road, and that's when you get the smell for the brewery. And what's that smell? That's Tynecastle. See, just teach them at a young age.
Thanks. Guinness 2022 said, "When side by side, do you still use the static escalator or switch immediately to the traditional stairs?"
I go for the stairs.
Yeah, I hate that little feeling. You know, is it moving? Even though you know it's not moving, and your brain plays that wee trick. Here's another. I can ask you an equivalent question, right? So I was coming at the airport tonight, and the last toilet before you leave and go to the pickup point, there are 3 urinals, 2 normal ones, and like a kid's urinal next to it, which is a lot lower down. The 2 main men's urinals were taken, and there's the kids' ones left, and it was quite busy. It's like, do you pee in? It's weird peeing in the kids' urinals. But I went for it and then felt really, really horrible.
That jeans on, I hope. God damn it.
Aye.
I went all the way to the ankles. And I had a little 18-pack lunchbox in my hand as well.
Fuck. I've never seen such a description, such a visual representation of primary 1P for an adult before.
I can't remember where I was.
I went to school with a boy called Ross Dempster. I remember coming back. You know, when you forgot how to behave and come back after the school holidays. And I must have been in primary 6 or something, and walked into the toilet and he was standing at the urinal with his shirt and his trousers.
I saw the cup final in December. The toilets at Hampton. There was a grown man, like older than me, in his 50s, 60s, with his trousers round his knees. I texted you at the time. And what the fuck is going on? This boy's standing with his trousers round his knees, having a piss. What's he doing? Like rammed. The toilets were rammed. It wasn't like he's thinking, I've got a moment to myself. I'll get a bit of air to the cinch. Like fucking.
I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that fanny that again. I'm going to turn this into a story about somebody famous again. But one of the funniest things I've seen on a night out, like I went out with Don Hutchison and Jason McAteer one night in London, and we were in this fairly fancy place, right? And we were leathered by this point, and it was quite busy. And I've gone into the toilet just after Don Hutchison, and it was mobbed, and there were like 10 really fancy urinals all in a row with about 7 lads at it. And Don Hutchison's gone in with his trousers and pants down and sat on the urinal and peed with his hand pushing his cock between his legs. And all these people are like looking at him horrified. And it's just purely for my benefit. He completely ignored me and carried on peeing through his legs, sitting down on the urinal. Oh, it was fucking funny.
I think you're all right to use the V1, though. Just to answer the question that you had. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Thanks, Matty. I've been really worried about that tonight, thinking, who's that fucking freak peeing in the kids' toilet?
and sometimes I don't even think about shiting in the normal toilets when they're available. So,
does it make it easier if you've got a Burn-sized cock to pee in the Burn-sized urinal?
Here's the other question there, Matty. See, when you have a shite, when you have a shite in a urinal, do you take that plastic thing out first, or do you leave it in?
No, but you may be able to lift that out after, and it comes in a winner.
You have to take it out first, otherwise the thing doesn't go away.
Yeah, that's a life hack, Colin. Fuck, I never thought of that.
Fucking hell.
Is it Bob Mortimer that wanted to design a toilet where you sat the other way? Like you sat facing the...
Like a motorbike. See, you know, the only thing that'll finish the story for me is if I go back into those 3 urinals to find Matty Fernie facing the wall having a shite.
On the wee toilet. On the wee urinal. Making more bike noises.
Oh dear.
That's cinching it, Matty. That's cinching it.
Neil Renton said, I composed myself. Right. The night Steve Archibald arrived at Easter Road to sign for Hibs, he was met by me and my pal Divvy. We were in a skip outside the ground as we'd heard Hibs threw away balls that were a wee bit flat. What's the best rumour you've heard that you wish was actually true?
Oh, Neil Renton, he's brilliant, Rents.
That's
boy. Fantastic, isn't it? It's fantastic. That. Good question.
Remember the dysentery at school one, Matthew? Boy was off school for a few weeks, and everybody's like, "Where's Pierre? Where's Pierre about?" One of his mates goes, "Got dysentery." Hey, everybody just believed that.
Just accepted it.
That's it, dysentery. So when he came back, like fucking 6 weeks later, you're right, dysentery and that. Like, nah, what are you fucking talking about? Just kind of wish that was true now. But
that's brilliant.
What was wrong with him? That he was off for 6 weeks?
I don't know. Must have been glandular fever or something. Like if you're off for 6 weeks, mental health didn't exist then, so it couldn't have been a depression or anything. That was like what we're talking early 90s. So there wasn't such a thing then. So it must have been something like glandular fever.
If it was one or two things, it was glandular fever or dysentery.
Well, we've talked about before, Colin. We'd heard about Jimmy Sanderson stayed in flats near the Lady Nairn, and we chucked snowballs at his house. He didn't live there. No. We just thought that's whose house it was. So
came down to Port Rugby Club, Port Rugby Club, Christmas Eve, I think. Yeah, Christmas Eve, midnight, 11 o'clock, tarring windows with big, heavy snowballs.
That's not his house. Oh well.
I still really wish that Dirk Lehman was an actual porn star. That would have been good, wouldn't it?
Aye.
Unlike,
I think he'd have been a better porn star than a footballer.
Tell you what, every time Sure Lovell's on Hibs TV, he goes on about how much he hated Dirk Lehman as a player. He just said he was so shite, and it annoyed him how much the fans loved him.
What's German for cinch?
Das cinch.
Das cinchen. Random Dribbles said, is Shortbangers a nickname for wee Shawnee? No, we predate Sean. Was Sean starstruck when he meeting Ray Winston? Asked Neil Renton. Colin's gone. He's got to compose himself or something. He wasn't starstruck, no. Ray of Sunshine and Leeds said, if a shot is struck at Ibrox and it ricochets off the post and scalps a fan in the coupon, could it be described as hitting the stanchion and into the staunchion?
That is the fucking dictionary definition.
21/5/2016, he shared a picture of a munchie box that was available at Partick Thistle. I don't think this photo will work because of the... Do you see that? So it's a burger, there's chips and cheese, there's some doner meat and chicken wings, but unidentified meat, which is all right. Maybe it's pakora or something like that. Charlie's question is that a half-time snack for one, or would you share it with your mates?
Well, he wouldn't fucking share it. That's Charlie. That's my brother-in-law.
Aye, no, Charlie.
I wouldn't get any of that. But it looks that isn't it? Is that the one that was at Partick Thistle? Sorry, I cut off there for a second.
Yeah.
Is it? Aye. That can't be real, they're not selling that kebab meat at the football.
It was in tinfoil, so they maybe just brought someone and keeping it warm.
Leon that does Longbangers with you, he reckons that they've definitely brought it into the ground. I can't see the facilities at any ground being able to serve that up.
Yeah,
like you imagine, like I don't know if you guys have been to Firhill. I've only ever been there once, but I can't imagine walking in there and seeing like the pork or the doner meat on a spit and some boy carving off for you. Nah, fuck that.
How much
I
did
think
the
it's all
chips?
prepackaged. Did they say? Did I think?
I want to say it was £9 or it was
£9. You're right, John. Cheesy chips, cheesy. So it's cheesy chips, cheeseburger, doner meat, chicken pakora, and pakora sauce. At Partick Thistle, so it's £9.
It's a share.
Aye, it didn't look nice. That's the thing. Normally, a Munchie box looks. Or the idea of Munchie box is quite good, but when you actually get them, they're never as good as they look. Did you get one other day, Colin? You were talking about it.
I got a Chinese and then disappointed again though. Every time I get a Chinese, I go, why did I bother? What?
The Chinese is here to Munchie boxes, like Chinese style ones. So you get like salt and pepper Munchie box, which is decent. If you like salt and pepper, like it's just it's a bit fucking dusty, but. Right, the next one I think came from. I think this came from Ray as well, and it's in the world. Do you think there's more doors or wheels? Which is a topical one at the moment.
My daughter asked me that the other night.
And what's the answer?
She's just sneaking in the room. Sorry, I'm taking the video. She's in her jammies. She's oh fuck! Can I get my camera back? There we go. She was handing me a glass of wine in. The answer's too hard to work out because I went doors initially because I was thinking, well, look at houses, right? Like I counted the doors in my house and I forgot to do the kitchen cupboards. So garage door, all the doors was 27 doors, and that's without my kitchen cupboards. But how many wheels? So I've got like 4 wheels on this chair that I'm sitting on. That's about it. So I'm thinking doors. But think of all the offices out there, and the amount of wheels in the office chairs, and there's not as many doors as there is wheels. So it's a real. I'm got to say doors, but I'm not convinced I'm right, and I think anybody could prove me wrong though.
Well, I think advent calendars swing it because there's 24 at least doors on an advent calendar, so I kind of know they're all year round, but they're for a period of time. So I'm not sure if that's a factor to be considered.
It's a tough question to answer. I don't know what the other guys are thinking, but I mean, as I say, a standard house, well, 27 doors before you count the cupboards.
I need some sort of definition on what constitutes a door and what constitutes a wheel.
Fuck off! No, you don't. Like,
well, that's the thing I hate about Matty on the podcast. He just fucking bullies me.
Just use your imagination. Like, what about? I mentioned it to Josh earlier when we were in the car, but I picked him up for his coaching, and he said about Lego. Like Lego's got tons of fucking wheels in it, and no as many doors.
It's got to be wheels then. It's got to be wheels. Just I think Colin hit upon a good point there. Like, so say like for every residence, like you're probably going to have more doors than you have wheels within it. But when you take into account like office space, most people, like people that work in offices, generally speaking, sit on chairs that are going to have wheels. So the wheels are just going to naturally outnumber doors. It's wheels. Absolutely wheels.
But there's doors in offices as well. They're offset.
I know, but like you were saying, like so for every door that there is, there's going to be like the ratio is probably going to be at least 100 chairs in an office for every door that there is.
But there's a lot more houses as well, though. You take the houses haven't got wheels in them.
But you've taken it when you go into the kitchen and talk about doors. Then how again? This goes back to your definition of a wheel.
Cupboard doors.
Well, there's going to be some kind of wheel mechanism in a dishwasher or a washing machine.
See, this is where Matty started bends to it because we've got a celebrity on the show. Gordon's got a good point, but John,
he asked me this question. We were having this conversation the other day on Twitter and WhatsApp, and he did ask that. My dishwasher's integrated, so I can't see any wheels, so I'm not counting that. My washing machine.
What? Hold on. You've got the tray inside on wheels.
Oh fuck! So it is.
So for every one door, there's 4 wheels in each tray.
Shopping trolleys.
8 wheels. Aye. What about the Tour de France?
Yeah.
Right. For every
cyclists, we're not thinking about cyclists.
For every cycling shop.
Because cars basically cancel out, because you've generally got 4 doors and 4 wheels, so you can't. So
and a spare.
Right. Yeah. Well, no many cars.
What about the steering wheel?
What about the engine? What about the engine? What other kinds of wheel exist in the engine?
Does the wee knob for your radio, does that count as a wheel, or is that just a knob?
Well, does the wee thing you lift when you change the water in your car, is that a door?
No, surely
That's
no.
a lid. A lid's
no.
different
That's
from
a
a door.
lid. Aye.
Aye.
Do you think this is one of the questions that is actually at the root of the fabric of the entire universe, and it's a dead heat, an exact dead heat?
I think it could be. I think it could go either way on it.
When one wheel dies, another one has to be born, and if a door breaks, a wheel has to go just to keep the equilibrium. Yeah. We'll go with that one. Dead heat. Right. 150k on a Hanlon Hill. Do Goths dye their pubes jet black so their collars and cuffs match?
I thought about this question a wee bit, and can I ask, when was the last time you actually saw a Goth? I think the last time I saw a Goth was the last time I was at, what was it? Was it Studio 24? And I don't think I've seen one since.
Have you ever been intimate enough to know the answer for a Goth?
What do you mean?
You shout, you've said the Goth.
Oh no, I've not.
What about Stevie Mallon? I mean, his hair dye.
Do you think Stevie Mallon's a Goth?
It's all going to be Ryan Kent being a Goth. Is it Ryan Kent or his brother or something? It's meant to be a Goth at the Rangers.
I'd never heard that.
I don't care if you listen, but that could be one of the rumours that we hope is true.
Or
Ryan,
it's just
He just comes in a leather trench coat.
He's still in the changing rooms right now. He's doing his makeup and
he's got the Smith on,
painting his nails.
Just does a really glum interview afterwards.
I would say they do.
If you're going to be true to the one, you have to.
Aye, a dark-rimmed Goth.
Matt, do you think there's maybe like an initiation ritual from Goths where they go, right, shows your pubes. Let's see if you're really a Goth. Shows your cinch.
Toronto Hibs, are there any pens that can write over Tipex? And why does no one use it anymore?
Yeah, Tipex is nearly a thing anymore, eh?
I miss it. I really miss it. Yeah,
you say that, I've got a ball of Tipex upstairs. Just when I was going through my binary calculations for the college, it was just like fucking 10001. I'm like, oh fuck, that should have been a 0. So I was straight in with the Tipex. But no, you're right, it's fucking shit for like waiting for it to dry. I think the wee Tipex bunny that you get that just draws like a straight line over it, like it comes out pretty much dry.
Oh, I don't know.
They are the best. But the OG Tipex, like with the wee dabber thing, that's shite.
But the mouse things, or whatever they're called, the Tipex, that's shite. The thing's off the runner and that's crap.
That got a wheel on it?
Yeah, probably. It's got a door on it as well when you open it.
I just
see revolving doors, do you count that as one door? And like automatic doors that open up, do you count that as 2 doors?
A revolving door is an infinite number of doors. That's maybe
it's one fucking door. You can't more than that. It's
an infinite.
Fuck off. That means it wins it.
No, really, because
as long as one revolving door exists.
A hamster's wheel's the same, isn't it? Sean said they say that childbirth is hard. I'm sure it is, but is it as hard as going for a piss in the middle of the night without the light on with a non-horny boner? How do you tackle that?
Honestly, since you did the Sean Maloney interview, so I was like going on to see like what is Longbangers retweet. I want to see the feedback. I want to see what folk are saying. And then I saw non-horny boner. I've been pissing myself ever since I saw it. It's a great description.
Why would you not put the light on? Like, that's just making it hard. Well, if you excuse the pun, harder for yourself, isn't it?
Like, making it harder.
So, well, there's one reason I'm thinking is that I don't like to wake up. So I'm trying to keep my eyes shut as much as I can without getting a light on. 2, that's one reason.
I'm awake, but I'm trying to go for a piss while I'm asleep.
I'm the same. You're trying to stay as close to sleep as you can.
Are you telling me you're doing like? It's like, fuck it, I'm awake now. No. But I've got the there. Like I've got an ensuite now as well. So if I put the light on, it wakes fucking everybody up. Well, wakes life up.
Oh, I see. Have you got the extractor fan that's linked to the light switch?
No, it's got a separate. I've got 2 buttons.
Okay. Because like that would be an added consideration for me. Like
shower doors as well. I'm just thinking shower doors. There's another door. I've not counted.
Aye, but does the wee dial, does that count as a wheel or is that a dial?
Nah, it's a dial. It's not a dial.
Are you just pushing it down then? Is that the answer?
You could sit down. You could sit down
and pushing it down.
You can't sit down with a non-horny boner.
Push it.
Depends what way you're facing.
I'm just fucking gutted because I can't mind the last time I had a middle of the night non-horny boner. I'm gutted.
At your age though, you'll be out for a piss during the night though, so we can.
That's the problem. There's 4 of them.
I used to think that was like a myth for like men of a certain age, but I found now that there's after a certain point of night, if I've drank something, I know that I'm going to be getting up during the night. So for tonight, for example, I've been having a wee drink while we've been doing this. I'll be up about 3-4 o'clock in the morning having a pee.
I'm up every night for a pee. It's brutal. But again, no with the non-horny boner. Those days have gone. Aye.
I'm with you, Matty. I'm with you.
Sean said his next question is: should non-horny boners be banned? Aye.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's such a waste, and but they're so precious. Don't waste them.
Right, we're into the final countdown. I think.
Do you think? Hang on. So, see when you think about
good.
it. Sorry, I've just had this wee notion that there's an unknown number of erections that you will have during your lifetime, and you don't know how many you have. So they are very, very precious.
You never know.
Kyber crystal. Aye. I used to think that. I used to daydream about it. Do you ever think at the end of your life that there's like a statistical presentation at the pearly gates where, like, congratulations, John,
Here's your score.
Yeah, you broke the record for the north of Edinburgh's erection count for a man of your age. Well done. You had 406,000 erections, and then there's a next statistic. Like on Monday Night Sky, they're like, here, what's it called? The X rating, like the number of completed erections that you had. The number of void
XE, we'll call it. Aye.
XE. Oh, that's
how many expected erections.
But you know, but like, so we've probably all played football during our time, or Colin, I know you played rugby as well. Like, would you not be interested to see, like Gordon suggested there, like your career stats? How many games you played,
brilliant.
How many minutes, how many goals you scored, how many tries you scored, all that sort of stuff.
Mine was more like you produced 4,000 litres of pish and like 16 petrol tanks of Harry Monk.
All right, next question for Ray. He sent her a picture. It's an Aldershot program cover, right? It's too white. Basically, it's a wee balding guy. Says why I think Clement Freud is the greatest. Read Jimmy Melia on page 5. So Jimmy Melia, I presume, played for Aldershot or maybe managed them or something. So why do you think he thought Clement Freud was the greatest? It's probably something to do with his mum.
And who's
Gordon
like the manager in Rochdale or something?
I don't know. It was on the Aldershot programme. And Ray's question is, what does Jimmy see in Clement Freud? Do you know who Clement Freud is?
So is this a psychology question, or is it?
Well,
Clement
I think there's
Sigmund was the granddad, and Clement was Clement the artist. I can never get it right.
Well, Sigmund wasn't the artist. He was the psychologist.
Yeah, he was the psychologist. So Clement was Clement, an artist,
writer, politician, broadcaster, and chef.
All right, so we'll summarise that as artist.
Artist.
Sounds creative.
Sounds creative.
And it was Aldershot, did you say?
Yeah. It's because she looked like his mum. Is it the Freud thing, isn't it? That'll be why it was. Freud will have told them that. So to be your mum.
Maybe, or there's the alternative theory. It was penis envy. He had a
Was shagging your mum not Oedipus theory?
Oedipus, yeah.
But Freud know have the thing about like the subliminal things all tied back to that.
Yes.
We're in the wrong
Shortbangers,
podcast for this one.
It's just like if you watch it's like four very blank faces there, just like
I've not even said it. I've not got a fucking clue what's going on here.
Like, is the Oedipus complex where you apparently want to have relations with your mum, whereas Freud is the psychology or the psychiatry behind the Oedipus complex, the reasons
Oedipus
why.
Is, shagging your mum and killing your dad, right, or beating your dad in physical combat. Yeah.
Did you Google that there?
John?
Me?
No, Gordon. Did you Google that?
No.
Oh,
Genuinely, no.
Just knows it all.
Right, Ray again said he's about as funny as insert word here and insert word here. So finish that. He's as funny as
Pissing in the child's urinal at Edinburgh Airport and pretending it's a motorbike.
Funny as an empty pair of wellies on a escalator.
About as funny as the RSPCA in Kurt Zuma's house.
You got one, Colin?
No, not quick enough.
Right, well, we move on.
Aye.
TG Willis, in this PC world, should the United Kingdom not be called something else? Have you ever been chucked out of PC world for saying something inappropriate?
Yeah. No, yeah.
No, but like chucking a baked bean through a spaghetti hoop, I kind of want to now. I really want to push those limits. Like, what do you think the limit is in a PC world, though?
Well, depends whether it's gone mad yet or not. If you go into one that's where the PC hasn't gone mad yet, you can pretty much say what you want. But if you go into a PC world where the PC has gone
world.
mad, then you're fucked. You can't say
It took me about 5 minutes to understand what Matty was getting at there. Freedom of speech world.
Aye, freedom of speech world.
And what's your name?
It wasn't like that in the old days world.
Ouch.
Right.
And is it king?
World.
Is he saying it's because it's king? Is it the king?
Yeah, kingdom. Yeah, he's saying that.
Aye.
Well, we've agreed today that we should now call it the United Quimdom.
Yeah,
Quimdom. That's better.
Cinchedom.
Cinchedom. Quimdom's better. TG again asked, does Gordon like sherry?
I like sherry.
Yeah.
Or do I like Gordon? Or do I like Gordon sherry?
Does Gordon like sherry?
I don't mind a little cooking sherry, particularly around funerals. That's this kind of funeral drink, isn't it, sherry?
Yeah.
That's a random question.
It's a random question. We'll take it. Most of the bar.
Who's asked that? Is that a hidden message?
I don't know.
I think that might be a. I'm trying to think. There's someone else to that. It'll come to me in about 3 days, but I think that might mean something else.
You'll be going halfway in Tesco and you go, oh, that cunt.
All right. You see, because I remember I went on Off the Ball once, and there's a boy I went to school with called Shuggy Kinnis, and he kept asking questions about, does Gordon still have the VHS tape of Tarzan X, which was a porno that was passed around our school for years that had somehow been claimed as I was the source of it. And Tam asked me on Off the Ball, he said, do you still have Tarzan X, the VHS? Check it out, by the way, lads. A cracking bit of jazz, drama.
Jazz drama.
Fattest Prickers were Heavy D and the Boys, them from the 90s, named after a big cock and set of boys. Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guinness 2022, Nicola Sturgeon in the news this week for an International Women's Day apology to witches. Fine. But where, oh where, is a sorry to the historic labelling of innocent female dogs? Nowhere. It's just another example of internalised misdogany. They get a bad name, Ken, who gets a bad name?
There's a, is it Green King? I don't know if they're a brewers or whatever they do.
They've got a pub chain, yeah.
A pub chain either. They own a pub in Linlithgow called the Black Bitch, which is
Aye.
quite. I don't know if it's a famous boozer, but it's certainly become famous. It's certainly become famous recently because they want to call it something else. Anyway, moving on.
The locals have gone mental about
that. Aye. Willie said, "Is Sean Maloney appearing on Longbangers a good or bad sign of his judgment?"
He never got a choice, really, did he? He got told he was on, like, so.
But it was good.
He'll be back.
Aye.
That sounded really sinister, Colin.
He wants more of these questions. That's the thing.
Drink that toilet in Edinburgh airport's for him.
Did you see the photo, Gordon, of the three of us?
Could you imagine a brass plaque above that urinal? Just reserved for Sean Maloney.
Somebody tweeted saying it's good that the Longbangers boys aren't letting fame go to their heads too much and they're still stopping to get photos taken with young fans.
I thought it was going to be worse than that for a minute.
Kaiser Soze said, "Do you think if anything is possible, it's still possible for anything to be impossible?"
Oh.
That's just one of these paradoxes, isn't it?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yep. Would you? Do you think if anything is possible, it's still possible for anything to be impossible?
Are you not? Is the question talking about?
It's a double negative.
Exclusive events. So you're not talking about the same thing.
What?
So while something is possible, there are other things out there that until they are possible remain impossible until someone does them.
But there's always something that's going to be impossible, eh? I mean, like you can't ever beat the speed of light.
That's impossible.
He said hypothetically, if anything was possible, could anything be impossible?
Well, no, it can't be.
But then you're saying it's not possible for something to be impossible. But
I bet there are known unknowns and unknown unknowns, aren't there?
All right, Donald.
Right, I've got a little bit of blood coming out of my ear. What's faster, the Roadrunner, Meep Meep, or Tom English talking shite?
Well, I took my glasses off tonight specifically.
Colin got called Tom English for his shite Scott Allen opinion.
Yeah. Which I can't even remember saying.
I can't mind it either. Must have been nonsense.
Fuck Ron Burgundy or whatever his name is.
I'd be turning off for now. The Roadrunner was brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Great cartoon.
Aye, one of my favourites. I like the idea of drawing a road on like a tunnel on a cliff.
Yeah.
Whenever things supposed to just go up, I can just drive into it. Brilliant.
I was just going to ask, like, see if you were the Roadrunner, what thing would you use to confuse a friend or the Wile E. Coyote? And I just thought to myself in the same instant, I would go and paint a molehill in Matty's garden. Just so you can go, fuck, I was just talking about
that.
2 years ago.
Right. Well, we're on. It's last question. Are folk that, so this is from Sean, he said, are folk that stand up to wipe their arses ones for watching? No danger, you get a clean hole standing.
Hey? Say that again?
Are the people who stand up to wipe their arse ones for watching, there's no danger, you get a clean hole standing? I can't remember if we talked about this. So like early days of Shortbangers was a question of do you sit down or stand up to wipe your arse? And there was
on it. Yeah.
A bit of debate. And I can do...
It was about 50-50, I remember. Like.
I was amazed at that. But in fact, my old man, after it, he listened to it, he says, folk have to be taking the piss if they're saying they're standing up. He was like, that's going to be a wind-up.
What if you've got short arms?
Like a T-Rex. Like,
or just short arms?
Well, it's not working either way, is it? Like, standing up's going to be worse for them, is it no?
Did I tell you about a mate of mine who, out of the blue one day, messaged me to say that he'd been for a shite and his arse wiping technique is to get in the shower. He basically uses like a stand. He gets in the shower and he has it's basically like a standy up bidet. He has.
That did come in. You did mention that before.
I find
so
that
no toilet roll involved at all.
No toilet roll involved at all. Like, I'm assuming there's like a wee bit of soap or maybe like some leftover shampoo or whatever, but it's a stand-up biddy. And I don't know whether he's
That's weird.
mental or a genius or both.
We grew up, boys. Similar thing. A boy we grew up with asked that question. He said, like, when you go to a public toilet, how do you manage without being able to wet the paper in the sink?
Like a baby wipe.
Aye. He had to wet the paper to do the job. So every time he was somewhere public, he couldn't understand why there wouldn't be a sink next to the pot.
This cubicle's fucking tiny. Where's the sink?
I'm going to have to just dip it in the bowl.
The thing is, as well, though, like, see when you're out in public, like a public toilet, generally speaking, the bog roll that you get isn't as good a quality as you get at home. So, like, even dipping in the water wouldn't do any good.
Kimberly Clark. Oh,
the Kimberly Clark.
It's made from the same stuff as your jotter.
Right, didn't stand up to make the problem. By the way, the flushable wipes that you get now, they're the way forward. You don't need a sink for them.
There's no such thing as a flushable wipe. You're just blocking up the sewers in Dunfermline.
Not
you
true.
Not true. Fucking stapling themselves to the pavements outside your street for the climate for that. Like, that's the that's the end game there.
They come with a certified flushable sticker on them. So it's not my fucking fault if they're
What, for the fucking ministry is certified flushable wipes? Fuck off.
That's somebody's job, isn't it? They go, did that flush? Fucking did.
It's pretty good tell, right?
What have they got? Like, hang on.
So have they got a boy? I've checked, I've used it to flush the toilet. I go, oh, it's away. It definitely fucking flushes, like.
How do you ever, like, that's bullshit. I can just imagine, like.
When they get the plumber round, I'm feeling like I used to be a plumber, and he'd be like that. He'll have to get the fucking big poles out to clear and he'll be going, manky fucking bastards.
The worst
all sorts of shit. They're fucking
the worst thing that you put down the toilet apparently is cotton buds. Shouldn't you put cotton buds down the toilet? That's they cause all sorts of havoc. I watched the programme one time. There was boys that worked in the sewer and they were going, what's the worst thing that happens? Is fucking cotton buds because they
all clog together or something.
And they'll stick to that, and then it's just everything builds up behind them.
A wee jobby lattice.
Power Ranger and cotton buds. They all combine to form one super cotton bud.
Right, you'll be glad to know that's the end of the questions. Gordon, did you have a favourite question? Do we have a?
He's forgot he got asked. He's got to have to think about it.
Fuck's sake.
Do you want me to start at the start and read through them again?
Aye, let's go through it again. Fuck, what was a good question there?
See where you're thinking. See the time machine question. See if you had the time machine, would you go forward or back? What would you do with a time machine? We all pick time machine, I think, rather than teleporter. So for what we always said, go back and see 2016 again, right? Would you go back and try and change anything, or would you go forward to see what happened? Or
nah, you go forward to get a bet, don't you? You go forward to get a result in a game to make sure you're financially comfortable.
Get the almanac or like Back to the Future.
Aye.
We assume that it's just like it's a one-time thing, like you get to go backwards once, so you get to go forwards once, or do you just assume that it's yours and you could just use it?
I'd go forward to be there at the moment the plumber comes round to Matty Fairney's house. He's pulling it.
Stand in the back
I want fast forward or go backwards to a time where there's a ministry of flushable wipes.
I think the question about the doors and the wheels is brilliant, isn't it? Because I'm gonna ask that question to everybody now. So I think that was good. Good question.
I guess something's been kicking about on TikTok or something, because my daughter asked me the other night. And that's
was it a guy at a football club maybe asked like the football players?
Now, I think we were tagged in it by Raymond, if I remember. So
see if he's even entered the fucking competition before we get away.
You'll have to say if he's following headline events, and I know he follows us, so I'll do the admin after the show, and we'll tweet out the winner. But I think it was Raymond that did that. Well done,
Gordon,
Raymond.
see if you're asking anyone and someone comes back to you like a revolutionary train of thought as to whether there's going to be more doors or wheels, can you let us know? Just because I love that kind of thing.
would it be good to actually ask somebody who's I don't know a philosophist or somebody who a philosopher? Sorry, who would be the person to answer that question with some authority? Is it a quantity surveyor or something?
A statistician.
Wendy Cleaner.
You need a statistician.
There's the question. Who's the person that can answer that question?
It's a taxi driver. It's going to be a taxi driver. They can everything.
Aye, they do.
Text into 0295.
Or your father-in-law.
Right, we'll wrap up there for the night. Gordon, thanks very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure as always. We hope you come back again for. Well, didn't leave it another 100 episodes. We'll have you on again. John, thanks very much for your time. We'll be back on Sunday probably with something. If no Sunday, on Monday. We'll do something at some point. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't